Even Gabe in Virginia. Welcome to the Spiritual Society of Virginia. And as I think all of us know, we read a message to start off the meeting. And today's message is from Living Spring, number 140, Behind Jesus. Luke recorded this, chapter 23, verse 26, from Jesus. And as they were leading him away, they seized one Simon, a Cyrene, who had come in from the country, and they put the cross on his shoulder to carry, as to carry it behind Jesus. Then Emmanuel writes for us through the mediumship of Chico Javier. The crowd that surrounded the master on his final day was huge. It included the impertinent idlers of the world, the champions of usury, the mockers, the ignorant, the weak minds that recognized Christ's superiority but were afraid to stand up for their convictions, the wavering friends of the gospel, the cowardly witnesses, the beneficiaries of the divine position, who hid themselves in fear, afraid of death. But a foreigner, forced by the people, accepted the cross, although constrainedly, and carried it, following behind Jesus. The lesson, however, would be bequeathed to the centuries of the future. The world is still an enormous Jerusalem, congregating people of the widest variety of nuances. But if you draw near to the gospel with sincerity and fervor, they will lay the cross on your heart. From then on, you will be compelled to make major demonstrations of selflessness. Very few will notice your exhaustion and anguish. And in spite of your status as a servant who has the same problems as everyone else, they will expect from you displays of humility, endurance, heroism, and loyalty to the good. Endure and toil. Your eyes turn towards the divine light. Invisible torments from heavenly springs will descend from on high upon your spirit, and you shall overcome valiantly. For now the cross is still the sign of faithful disciples. If you do not bear witness through the marks of responsibility, toil, sacrifice, or spiritual growth, it may be that you do love the Master deeply, but is almost certain that you still have not joined him on the redemptive journey. Therefore, let us bless our cross and fearlessly follow behind him, seeking the victory of love and eternal resurrection. The interesting story of this message, I thought there was another message going to be read today, but I think this one is probably much more appropriate for what we'll be talking about today. And I think we all know each one of us has a cross to bear in life. And of course, Spiritism explains that very well to us. We all reincarnate for a particular reason, maybe more than one reason, but we always know that there's something for us to work on in life. There's a mate for us to gravitate towards, and maybe sometimes to gravitate towards another one as we struggle with ourselves and with the relationships we have with people. We think the most important thing is that Spiritism always gives us the relationship with God, and especially now we've been praying for peace for many different reasons, not only for that war that's going on, but for the wars that go on in our own country over things like gun control, abortion, climate control, you name it. Things have surfaced, and it's time for us to stand up, each individually when we meet people and we discuss it, not to be into a debate or argument over it, just to share your particular views of it and to understand where they're coming from. Because eventually, we all know love will eventually conquer all and put people in the right frame of mind. We just have to show them love. Sometimes that's very difficult. But if we start in our families, then we get a pretty good start. Okay, I'll turn it over to Vanessa.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. So, friends, we invite everyone to join us in a prayer. Let us feel the presence of God amongst us. Where is God now? Let's see God. Where is God? Under the chair? Sitting on your lap? Where is He? Because He's giving us life. It's amazing, right? The question is, where is He not? Because He's the all-powerful. He sees everything. He knows everything. Even before it happens to us. And if He allowed it, it's because there is a good thing for us. So let us then feel this vibration of God in us. Dear God, thank you for bringing us together. For the seriousness of life that we want to cherish. May we raise ourselves above our limitations and find you. Because you certainly remain with everyone. You are the father and mother of all of us. Thank you for the grace of this moment. For the banquet of light that is nourishing us. For the presence of the spirit doctors, nurses, therapists. For the spirit directors of the Spirit Society of Virginia who lead us into this moment of togetherness. May we cherish your company in good thoughts and good feelings, allowing your messengers to help us be treated during this session, while we open ourselves to new understanding that shall foster a better life for us. With your guidance, protection, and permission, we begin our service this morning, and so be it. So Miss Carol and Miss Daisy will lead us into a session with the children and enjoy, friends. We have more friends coming along, right? Yes. Okay, one second. Okay. So today we have a topic that many people don't want to talk about. Discarnation. Death. People are like, what? I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, who wants to talk about death, right? But do we have to talk about death? Yes. Why? Because death is part of life. Death doesn't exist. There's no end. There's just a continuation. When my father discarnated, I couldn't see him personally. Couldn't be there at the funeral because of the pandemic. But God is so wonderful that I never felt he died. Even when I visited my family there, he was not physically there, but he is living. He's not dead at all. Do you want to be considered dead by your loved ones? You don't, right? You don't want your loved ones to think, oh, Vanessa's dead. And I'm here. I'm not. Oh, okay, sure. Sorry. Thank you, Carlos. So, we're not. But how do we practice this feeling so when this happens, we can continue going on and on and on and on and on without feeling that we're falling apart? We need to think about it every day. Joana de Angelis to Divaldo Franco, she recommends every day. It's a must to think. One day I'll be back, and my loved ones will be back. How does that feel? That's one way. But in the Spiritist literature, we have a wealth of information telling us about how to prepare. Not to prepare to die simply, but to go on, to continue. It's like you graduate from high school, you go into college. It's a big transformation, right? But then, if you prepare yourself, if you have a group with you, it's going to be much easier. Today we're going to talk about this. We're going to show first a video, which is in Portuguese, but has captions in English. Hopefully, we will make sure that we'll make this audio, and then we'll have this video fully dubbed in English. For now, we ask for your patience to read the caption, but this is the case that is in the book, Workers of the Life Eternal, the discarnation of a man who used to be a spiritist. And then Andrea Lu is showing to us how it works. And then we'll talk more about it, okay? So, let's then... Oh, hold on. Okay, what's happening here? Let me understand. Okay. Perfect. We just need to make an adjustment. Apologize. We apologize. Share. We have to go back a little bit, sorry.
Compreendia, mais uma vez, que há tempo de morrer como há tempo de nascer. Dimas alcançara o período de renovação, e por isso seria subtraído à forma grosseira, de modo a transformar-se para o novo aprendizado. Não fora determinado o dia exato. Atingira-se o tempo próprio. Recordando, contudo, meu caso particular, e sequioso de elucidações construtivas, ousei interrogar nosso orientador, antes de regressarmos ao círculo carnal, pela manhã. Padre Jerônimo, terá sido Dimas como fui suicida inconsciente?
Não, André. Nosso irmão não foi um suicida.
Então não será necessário habitar regiões de sofrimento como eu mesmo precisei.
Tem razão. Dimas, desde a infância, foi acostumado à luta sem mimos, desenvolvendo o próprio corpo, se envolvendo com trabalhos abnegados e incessantes. Constituiu família, pingando suor no trabalho diário. Mesmo assim, ainda encontrou tempo para se dedicar aos que gemem e sofrem, que estão num plano abaixo dele. Com o recurso da mediunidade, se envolveu com o bem coletivo. Perdeu integralmente o conforto da vida social. Como observamos, há existências que perdem pela extensão, ganhando, porém, pela intensidade. Mas já é hora de ir, André. Nossos irmãos nos esperam.
Dimas permanecia sobre agitações psíquicas muito fortes. Conhecia o fim próximo do aparelho carnal. Temia o futuro dos seus. Conservava-se em total descontrole dos nervos.
Meus irmãos, que bom que vocês chegaram. O desligamento será hoje?
Sim, a resistência orgânica terminou. Já estamos autorizados a aliviá-lo. Está na hora.
Dimas, não obstante dedicado à causa do bem e compelido a grande esforço de cooperação na obra coletiva, descuidou-se de incentivar a prática metódica da oração em família no santuário doméstico. A esposa do médium, ao pé dele, mantinha-se firme ao seu lado, olhos vermelhos de chorar, emitindo forças de retenção amorosa que prendiam o moribundo em vasto emaranhado de fios cinzentos, dando-nos a impressão de peixe encarcerado em rede caprichosa. Teria de ser o primeiro empecilho a ser removido. Enquanto, através da imposição magnética, eu me esforçava para modificar-lhe as vibrações mentais, Hipólito e Luciana teceram uma rede fluídica de defesa em torno do leito para que as vibrações mentais inferiores fossem absorvidas. E Jerônimo trabalhava a fim de tranquilizar a esposa para dar continuidade à tarefa.
Querida, vá descansar. Gostaria de vê-la bem mais forte. Sinto-me bem melhor. Sinto que o dia será de calma e reconforto. Pode ir.
Tem certeza, querido?
Estou bem. Pode ir.
Meus irmãos, peço-lhes que cuidem do sono da esposa para que suas emissões mentais não nos alterem o esforço.
Através da mentalização, Jerônimo forneceu a oportunidade da oração final ao nosso amigo.
Meu Senhor Jesus Cristo, creio que atingi o fim de meu corpo, do corpo que me deste por algum tempo, como dádiva preciosa e bendita. Não te posso implorar a bênção da morte pacífica, porque nada fiz de bom ou de útil por merecê-la. Maria Santíssima, se é possível, amada Santa, socorre-me com o teu compassivo e desvelado amor. Sou agora também o menino frágil, com fome do afeto maternal, nesta hora suprema. Oh, se eu pudesse contar também com o socorro da abençoada mãezinha que a morte arrebatara há tantos anos.
Meu filho.
Dimas, experimentando indefinível bem-estar no regaço materno, parecia esquecer agora todas as mágoas, sentindo-se amparado, quase feliz. Ordenou Jerônimo que me conservasse vigilante, de mãos coladas à fronte do enfermo, passando logo após ao serviço complexo e silencioso de magnetização. Havíamos iniciado o desligamento. Jerônimo iniciou utilizando passes longitudinais, a fim de promover o desligamento das vísceras. A seguir, isolou todo o sistema nervoso simpático, neutralizando mais tarde as fibras inibidoras no cérebro. Começou a operar sobre o plexo solar, desatando laços que localizavam forças físicas. Com espanto, notei que certa porção de substância leitosa extravasava do umbigo, pairando em torno. Com passes concentrados sobre o tórax, relaxou os elos que mantinham a coesão celular no centro emotivo, operando sobre determinado ponto do coração. Nova cota de substância desprendia-se do corpo, do epigastro à garganta, mas reparei que todos os músculos trabalhavam fortemente contra a partida da alma, opondo-se à libertação das forças motrizes, em esforço desesperado, ocasionando angustiosa aflição ao paciente. Alcançáramos o coma em boas condições. Era a última etapa. Concentrando todo o seu potencial de energia na fossa romboidal, Jerônimo quebrou alguma coisa que não pude perceber com minúcias, e brilhante chama violeta dourada desligou-se da região craniana, absorvendo instantaneamente a vasta porção de substância leitosa já exteriorizada. Quis fitar a brilhante luz, mas confesso que era difícil fixá-la com rigor. A chama mencionada transformou-se em maravilhosa cabeça, em tudo idêntica à do nosso amigo em desencarnação, constituindo-se após ela todo o corpo perispiritual de Dimas, membro a membro, traço a traço. Dimas desencarnado estava ligado ao corpo através apenas de leve cordão prateado, semelhante a um elástico entre o cérebro de matéria densa, abandonado, e o cérebro de matéria rarefeita do organismo liberto. E agora, padre? O desencarne está completo?
Aos olhos da carne, sim, mas para nós o trabalho continua. O cordão fluídico deverá permanecer por mais um dia, considerando as necessidades do morto que ainda não está preparado para o desencarne mais rápido. Pedimos à irmã que tenha bondade de velar por ele até o momento propício.
Devido aos méritos adquiridos, foi permitido que Dimas tivesse defesas pessoais, mas a residência conservava-se à mercê da visitação de qualquer classe. As câmaras mortuárias não devem ser pontos de referência à vida social, mas recintos consagrados à oração e ao silêncio. O sentimentalismo exacerbado da família inconformada é sempre prejudicial ao processo de desligamento. No dia seguinte, retornamos ao recinto doméstico onde cortaríamos o fio derradeiro que o ligava aos despojos. Estávamos a postos 2 horas antes de organizar-se o cortejo fúnebre. Reparei que o médium liberto tinha agora o corpo perispiritual mais aperfeiçoado, mais concreto. Jerônimo examinou-o, auscultou-o como clínico experimentado. Em seguida, cortou o liame final. Dimas livre, Dimas espírito, despertava.
Mãe?
Okay. So, at the end, when we saw the quote from the book No Solar, it's talking about the fact that a life is just one day in our mortality. Passes so fast, right? So important to feel the connection that we have with one another beyond the physical body. Now, there's a second resource that can help us break down why did Dimas have so much merit, right? So, there is a message in the Spiritist magazine, and I'll show it to you, because you can go there at any time to read books and articles that have not been published by the publishers, but they are here. So we have many of them. The one we want is Back in the Past, issue 21. Yeah, I'll show it to you. Thank you. Let me just see if I am showing here, right? Here, yes, and here. Victor Hugo at the front page, and then, okay, sorry. You just go to the message that is titled Training for Death. Training for Death in Portuguese is Treino para a Morte, by the spirit Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier. No matter how much we like it or not, the fact that he says training, it implies what?
Effort and repetition.
What is that?
I said effort and repetition. Training.
Hold on, because I have to go back and share the other page that just opened up. Here we are, so people can see it too. There. Right, Carlos? It's going to show up. Yeah. Now it does. It's not perfect. Okay, make it bigger. There you go. So, the message is good. We like the way Humberto de Campos talks to us because he's answering questions that people were asking at the time. But let's go straight to the points. Where is the training? Where do you think it begins? The most basic thing we do every day. the habit. So, okay. Okay. Start, he says, the renewal of your habits at each meal. That's where the training begins. And we don't want to talk about diets, but the spirits keep referring to the need. The diet is not about only the food that we eat, but he says, gradually decrease the lust to eat the flesh of animals. Friends, I know some people, they read this and you're like, yeah. Look at Demas. He merited it. If we listen to this and we don't comply, where's our merit? Right? We need to earn it. So, change. He's not saying to stop eating meat. Diminish your lust. When people feel like they need to eat meat that is so bloody, like they say, rare. It's like, man, we're back to being animals. Because that doesn't feel human at all. It doesn't feel human. At least let it cook, right? The cemetery in the belly is a torment in the great transition. Now why? You saw the perispirit, the connection with the physical body. The links. One major link, cell by cell, but there are two major links, one here and one in the solar plexus, like the digestive system. The digestive system, the chakra, the solar plexus, and the reproductive one, both are the ones that will impact greatly in the separation, because these are two things that we don't need in the spiritual realm. If we are exciting it too much with food and sexual misconduct, then it's going to be very difficult for us, because the bonds between the physical body and the perispirit will be too tight. Pork loin or veal fillet, seasoned with salt and pepper, do not place us far from our ancestors, the cannibal primitive ones. Oh no. Now we're cannibal. So, but does being a vegetarian make us a saint? No. Chico Xavier was not a vegetarian. Divaldo Franco is not a vegetarian. I don't know the others, but I know of these two, and they are close to sainthood. Okay? So, let's not get confused. It's not about morality. It's about habits that may be connected to it, but they are talking about habits that bring us too heavy into this material world. If we want to detach, we need to practice it daily. Yes,
I think
John.
it involves the amount of meat you eat and whether you have a need, depending upon, like with the Baldo and his schedule. And just what
You're
Chico-
never in a barbecue. I'm sorry. So let's put some veggies in the barbecue. Right? Some mushrooms. It's like meat. Right? Some veggies there too, just to counterbalance. Nobody's saying don't eat barbecue anymore, don't go to the Brazilian steakhouse anymore. There are lots of veggies there too, but it's important to change our habits. As John's saying, it's about portion control. That's a good start, right? So it's a good start, like portion control. Instead of eating 10,000, we eat 1, 2. And then controlling it, and especially he says the desire, this lust, this feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to eat this. That's what we need to control. And he says now about drinks. See, it's about eating and drinking. Widely ingested drinks are another dangerous obsession. And that's not water. Because if you drink water, you're good. He's talking about alcohol. And he doesn't say, he says, I have seen many souls of apparently exquisite background willing to trade heaven itself by the aristocratic whiskey or our Brazilian cachaça. During the pandemic, alcoholic behavior has increased across the ages, all age groups. It's understandable. We are still in the pandemic. I thought we were coming out. We're still everywhere, you guys know. It's medium to high. COVID. So, what can we do? Deal with it. But what is the lesson that we're learning here? So many lessons. You talk to pediatricians, to doctors, in hospitals, urgent cares, in their clinics. They are all exhausted because they are seeing a lot of the aftermath of this pandemic, emotionally. None of us are spared. At some point, it affected us. And that's okay. Because usually we feel like guilty because it's affecting us, feeling like, am I weak? No, we're humans. We're humans. It's part of our life to go through this. It's a learning experience, but we can't go away, run away, escape away. It's easy, right? Open a wine, and then let's say, oh man, I need some to relax a bit. You go to the nail salons, they have wine. Nail salons. And they say, you want some wine? I'm like, oh gosh. Oh my. But I understand. If people don't know this, what else could you do? It's better wine than killing somebody else, right? Because then you don't know how to handle your emotion. Then you relax and you think again, you say, okay, fine. I'm not saying go there, but we understand why people go there. Because they don't have another resource within themselves. But if we know any better, it's easier for us to go find a therapist, a spiritual treatment, to talk to a good friend, to secure our support system, to pray more, to read more of André Luiz books, to make sure that we get the support that we need to go through our difficulties. And then, talking about smoke. As much as possible, avoid the abuse of tobacco. The condition of discarnate nicotine lovers is pitiful. Why? Because they are suicides, basically. And there are people now vaping. It's no different. It's no different. So when you look at people who are going through this, let's pray for them because they are suicides, suicidal spirits. They haven't killed themselves yet, but they are killing themselves every day. Every time they smoke, every time they vape, every time they drink, they're killing themselves. And that's tragic. So you see where he begins? He begins with our daily habits and then drugs, which nowadays it's so sad to see the legalization of marijuana. A friend was recently in New York talking about the locations where you can easily buy it. People just knew. Do not give in to the temptation of narcotics. No matter how distressing crises seem to be, while the body stays strong when facing the blows of struggles. Victims of cocaine, opioids, morphine, barbiturates linger a long time in the dark cell of thirst and inertia. So, and now the next, where pleasure comes. So we're talking about daily pleasures, eating, drinking, escape mechanism, and now sex. What about sex? Carefully preserve your emotional balance. We here have many good people carrying living hell labeled love. Our society, fortunately or not, and I would say, of course, it's unfortunate, sees people who are sex addicts. And they say, oh, this person's a womanizer, that person, girls nowadays as well, boys and girls, having several sexual partners. And it's like, yeah, enjoy life. Yeah, don't tie the knots. It's like, what? You're gonna get married? Don't do this. And then society feeding the ego of people who are sick. They're sexual addicts. What would you do if you're a parent of a sex addict? Of course, we're talking about sex addicts being people who are grown up, so they are not your children anymore. They could be, because you can see their behavior, but we're talking now about grown up children. What would you do? Talk to them. Give them the book Sex and Destiny. If they don't read, at least you talked. You need to talk every day, but let's not reinforce. Sometimes we don't reinforce with words, but as Freud says, many of us don't have the courage to do that misconduct, to go into that. But deep inside, we feel the pleasure when people do it. There are people who are married, they don't cheat physically, but they have a friend who's free, who can have any partner, and they enjoy that feeling that a friend is free, the friend can do it all. It's Freud telling us. We feel the pleasure by seeing people doing what we want to do, but we don't have the courage to do. At the end of the day, what are we doing? We are partners in the crime. If you have some money, just in case, if you do, or hold any earthly possession, do not postpone donations if you're really inclined to them. Great individuals whom we admire in the world for their skill and power with which they materialize important business here appear in many instances near us like desperate children, for they do not get to manage their checkbooks any longer. He didn't say if you have a lot of money, some money. Because even when people are poor, they fight for a penny, for minute things. They fight for a penny. A book, a chair, a bag. So give it before we discarnate if we can. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. Chico Xavier was so wise. When he died, nobody had any headache distributing anything. He did it. He walked the talk. When he died, only the body. Now, the body, we have to take care of his body now. But he had everything in place. A man who received donations from people around the world. But he had everything in place, all the donations already set, all the friends who were lawyers already taking care of everything. Way before. He was always like, if somebody gave this iPhone to him, he didn't need it. He would find somebody and say, here it is, immediately. He wouldn't do it, like take it home and say, maybe I will need it one day. What if my phone dies? No, he would redistribute right away. But Vanessa, that person loved you, like Divaldo Franco. The same for Divaldo, he does the same. I remember Chico Xavier, when Poland still in the book, was turning, I don't know how many years of published works. Somebody made a special hard copy made out of something precious, I don't know, gold or diamonds. Why would you do it, right? With the spiritist husband. Did they read the book before they did it? Well, we understand the feelings. It's like people are so emotionally involved. He gave it to him. But one day, a lady stopped by and needed medication. He didn't have the money, so he gave the book. So he traded it because it's worth money. You can buy a medication. Can you imagine? Would you do it? Would I do it? He was psychographing this book in his lunch breaks. He never considered them his book. He always says the books are of the spirits. And those are true masterpieces. So, food for thought. Within your family, remember Demas. He prayed, he helped, but he forgot to help his family pray, do the next step. So within your family, be careful regarding your living will. Be careful regarding your living will. Be careful regarding your living will. Fatal diseases may assault anyone. And if your paperwork is not in order, you will suffer much humiliation in the courts and notaries. So we have a lot of work to do. Right? The other day I was thinking, man, if I discarnated today, I didn't have all the passwords of all the 10,000 websites and things, Kardec Radio, SSVA. I said, people are going, I'm going to give them a lot of work to go to my computer and find all the passwords for everything. I said, you see, I'm not prepared. Not prepared. So, if that happens, forgive us. We didn't mean it, but hopefully we'll have time to write it down and say at least that part will go on and have everything ready. Because when we're no longer here, people need to go on, continue, and without struggles, right? Well, above all, do not cling too much to your blood ties. Wow. Love your wife or husband, right? Partner. Love your children and love your relatives in moderation. Certain that one day you'll be apart, and thus they will almost always act contrary to your will, although they may respect your memory or not. Do not forget that in the present state of terrestrial education, if some loved ones register your extraterrestrial presence after the funeral, certainly they will demand that you descend to hell, since they are afraid of your inopportune return. Humberto de Campos is funny. It's still a style when he was incarnated on Earth, a little bit of, spiciness there, but love in moderation. That balance is very new, because usually we are in the extremes, love or hate. Loving too much or hatred. We needed to learn how to balance. We need to detach. In the book Heaven and Hell, Kardec talks about these bonds of attachment being so material that they block us from detaching easily in the afterlife. So let people be who they are, love them, but do not live your life for them. Live it with them, because we need to live life for God, but with. forgive me for saying this, but I have my mom's permission to share. My mom was very attached to my dad, to ways that I always told her it's not going to work well because you're too attached. You live your life for dad. I know your generation is like this, but it's not good. Way before dad was diagnosed with his cancer, years before dad, he said, Mom, the day dad passes away, you'll be in trouble because you live your life for him. So here we are, 2 years almost going by and trying to redefine life. No matter the 5 children, the 7 grandchildren, her mother who is still alive, her brothers, all the connections, there's a huge void. It's not easy. I see it with my eyes. And for me, it's a lesson. We needed to learn to be detached. If your husband or wife or partner says, I don't want you to do this, say, I love you, but I will. Because you're not my Lord. Write it down. You're not my Lord. I see parents obeying children. Because children, when they grow up, they say, I don't want you to go to the center. Excuse me? What did you say again? We don't discuss that. What do? We reverse now the order? No. I don't want to go. No, you go. The day you're 18, you choose. But we have to do it. You can't decide for me. So friends, we have a lot to revisit. If you already have the treasure of a religious faith, look what he says. The treasure of a religious faith, which nowadays is not fashionable. To say we are religious, yesterday I was going to stop by at Virginia's jazz class. They allowed us to observe, and I dressed up with this beautiful t-shirt that a friend gave me, the prayer.
I must have got some attention.
And then when I was leaving my home, I was thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I should change my t-shirt because it's going to call too much attention. And then I looked at myself and said, how outrageous thought is that? Really? Now if I say prayer, it's as if I'm cursing? That it's a threat to somebody else? That's the world we're living nowadays? I said, no, I'm sorry. It's not a statement for anybody, it's just how I feel. I embrace it. So beautiful. Of course, nobody said anything.
Nobody said anything to you?
No.
Really?
It's a public.
I would think that would start a conversation.
Yeah, but children and parents in Balanjas, I don't think prayer is in the curriculum there. I couldn't speak because I had to watch. Watch and pray. Literally. But then I was surprised with my own feeling. I said, that's where we are nowadays. So we need to be patient and courageous, not to proselytize, not to impose, no. But to be who we are. If we already have the treasure of religious faith, live accordingly to the precepts you embrace. What terrible moral responsibility it is to know the path without balancing oneself within it. It's already self-explanatory, right? Moral responsibility. We know we need to walk the talk. Do the most good you can. Not little good, he says most. Without worrying about pleasing anyone. Convince yourself that if you do not feel sympathy for certain individuals, there are people who hardly tolerate you. So, the beauty of it all is do the good. But I can see it here, Carlos. Isn't this funny? You sure? I'm gonna put it again. Because I can see it here. You wanna double check? It's there, right? Okay, thank you. Is that there now, Carlos? Yeah. Thank you. It's good that we double check. Thank you. Thank you. So do the most good you can. Like this. Carlos is there. He's trying the most good he can at this point. Thank you. You know, it's like that. It's funny to say this because the other day we were stopping by to watch the Top Gun Maverick, of course. Because you better watch here because in the afterlife you won't be able to. So let's watch here. And we brought Virginia with us because, you know, where would she stay? And we entered the movie theater. And we were there seated. And, you know, we as adults, we're like, oh, great, so many ads. Yeah, keep it going. It's okay. We're just relaxed. Now it's reclined seats. So you're thinking, wow, we need some break. And then after 40 minutes of commercials, starts a movie named Bob's Burger, or Bobby's Burger. And Virginia next to me said, Mom, didn't I tell you? I said, you told me? You told me? I told you when we entered that this was Bobby's Burger. I said, Virginia, please, next time, speak up.
I can't believe she didn't speak up.
3 adults tried.
No, that's true.
Poor Virginia. Yeah, 3 adults, and she's almost like whispering, or she'll be expelled from heaven, right? See how brutal we are. She told me, I didn't hear. She said, Mom, during the commercials, it said soon it's gonna. I said, I was just in awe that I could lay down and be at a movie theater after so many years. So I told her, Virginia, you have to do the good. You have to do the good. This is a good. When you know the good, you speak up, no matter the consequences. Well, so do the most good you can, no matter the consequences. Or it's Bob's Burger. We don't want that, please. No, we don't want that. Therefore, keep your noble smile at all circumstances. Work always, work incessantly. Service is the best solvent for your grievances. Help yourself through the loyal fulfillment of your duties. Friends, these duties here, remember Thought in Life when we studied together? There's a chapter duty. They're not talking only about going to work, cleaning the house, taking care of your body. They are saying moral duties. To love, to understand, to forgive, to forget, to be humble, as John was reading in the message here. Jesus is our model. In regard to everything else, do not give up or inquire too much, because sooner or later, death will offer you its business card. That's fancy. A Vista Print business card, huh? Exposing you to everything that I cannot tell you now. No fear. No fear. He's just helping us go back to where we actually belong, because we're spirits. This is in issue 21 of the Spiritist magazine. You can go back. There is an app, free of charge. You just go there, download, read it. The PDF, if you want to order, the website refers to where you can order the magazine. Let's think about this. And rejoice. Look what he says here. Keep your noble smile at all circumstances. See, it's happy. He's not saying be sad, be worried. Work, help, Be friendly. Help yourself. That's it. Does anybody have any question or comment before we go to the passages and prayer? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, my question is more like, how can we read the nowadays time, like, you're saying that like food, sex, drugs, everything is like bad for us. But if you, when you see the ads, if you see the apps, everything is like pushing you in that direction. Like sex is fine if you have multiple partners.
Yeah.
So you have an app for that. Drugs, you see nowadays that they try to legalize everything. Even I mean, before it was just very marijuana, and now it's even cocaine.
Oh, yeah.
And for I mean for everything, for drinks, I mean, it's easier than ever. And the push to the society is really high. So that's gets me thinking like, hey, we are in the way to the regenerative world, but I feel like so pushed to the other way. That's sometimes just, to be really honest, make me really depressed. Like seeing a lot of bad things happen, and for me at least, I feel like I have no way to change that, right? And now that we have
Oh, gosh.
the worry is really high. So
Yeah.
how can we read the today's time in the sense of why we are seeing so much of this?
Yeah, why, right? Good question. Why are we seeing so much craziness? Because the lower zones have been emptied out. People are being pushed to reincarnate. A century ago, we had 1.8 million people incarnated on Earth by the Spanish flu time. 100 years later, we have almost 7 to almost 8 billion people on Earth. The world is very transformed and will continue to do so because majority of the spirits are discarnated. They influence us much. They need to reincarnate. You can turn it off if you want. You can turn it off. Thank you. So basically, their reincarnation. You can recognize, for example, I was in Brazil recently talking to the director of a spiritist center, Celia, and she was mentioning, you see nowadays these nails that are long, and it's almost like cloths that people want to use. It's fashion now to tattoo yourself all over. I'm sorry. Sorry, no, I didn't mean that. That's not what you're beautiful tattoos. We're talking about people tattooing the face everywhere, plus the nails, plus the hairs with all those different cuts. We're not generalizing, but there are cases in which you can tell that those people who were in those lower zones, they were not given an opportunity to go to the spiritual colonies because they didn't have merit for it. From the lower zone straight into this reincarnation. They are so disturbed. And forgive me about saying the external things. That's what she mentioned. But we know about the behavioral, the emotional, the psychological aspects. People highly disturbed, they are very conflicted, etc. But they need to reincarnate to harmonize themselves. It's a lot of work for us, including ourselves. We know our things. We may not have the tattoos and the nails, but we have other flaws and tattoos in the mind that are probably even worse than this. But we're saying, you see nowadays, many people who are not even aware why they're here. They're like, I have no idea. And they think, I'm going to enjoy life. That's what I'm going to do. I want to have several sex partners. I don't want to get married. I may have children. And that's how they go by their lives. And the parents reinforce it, saying, yeah. As long as you work and you pay your bills, it's fine. You can do anything. As long as you pay the bills, your bills, you take care of yourself, you can do anything. They don't know what they're doing. And the worst of it all is the school system. Because the school system is struggling. And that's where problems really escalate. Because then children go from home, which is the safest place, hopefully, to a place that should be the safest place. And then the children learn through drills that it's not the safest place. On the contrary, it's exactly the place where people may kill you. So then don't go to school. You won't be killed. That's what many parents are doing. Homeschooling because they're afraid of the children being killed. But then there's a price. Mentor Joseph explained to us that all these shootings that have been coming are spirits of darkness in the afterlife, and that find instruments here. They know where the good spirits are reincarnating. Many good spirits are reincarnating in the U.S. Not only everywhere on the earth, but in the U.S., many of them are reincarnating. And what is their plot? To go there and kill them. So that's why the shootings. They are trying to find these spirits and get them assassinated. Just so we know. It happened to Jesus. Didn't Mary and Joseph, didn't they have to go elsewhere to protect their unborn child? Moses had to be sent away to be protected from being killed. The prophets of all times were always threatened. It's no different nowadays because there are many spirits reincarnating. Your children, our children, will be the ones who will shift the earth. By the time they are young adults, the earth will be already a regenerative place. If we teach them to be in this world as it is, they won't succeed there. For them to succeed there, we need to teach them otherwise. Because we're not training them to be here today. We're training them for the world regeneration. I was telling that to Virginia. Virginia, by the time we hit 2057, you'll be X-age. You'll already be an adult in the workforce, making a difference. So you need to prepare yourself for wherever you are, you make a difference. But it begins in the school today. When she comes home and says, Mom, there are rumors in the classroom. This kid is telling this about that kid. And I said, okay, let's talk to the teacher. Because gossiping is not good. You need to learn in third grade. Don't let it escalate in high school and be that misery. That should be the most wonderful time. High school should be the most wonderful time. You're discovering yourself. You're finding out who you are. But then the works of the darkness are trying to destroy it all. The plan of a beautiful adolescence. That's where you start working for the good. When you are a teen. Yes.
The only thing that is really difficult for me to grasp is like, again, it's not a generalizing everything, but we should think that all these people, I mean, that's you see that, again, it's my judgment, right?
Yeah.
That I judge that's not good. They are in the power right now. And if you look, they're changing everything, like the schools, they change the laws, they change everything from up high to down.
Yeah.
So my point of view is really hard to go against this flow, like for example, you're saying that Virginia will be in a position that she can change, but up to there, I don't know how much damage we can support from the government, from the politician.
No, but there are people, remember, God is in charge. This planet has a governance. There are many people already in place. This generation will, let's say, start sealing the transition. But it's not only about that. We are helping here now. We can't say the next generation. Friends, I remember 20 some years ago when we started doing the works of Spiritism in English in Baltimore. Many people told me, Vanessa, our children will do it. I said, I don't have children. So back then, I didn't have Virginia. I said, okay. And then the people who were talking to me about it had children. I said, okay, are they doing anything? No. So I can't wait for them. Okay, they speak fluent English. So are they going to do it? No, we can wait. If you're going to wait for the children to do it, then we'll be seated forever. We'll do it. They'll come, they continue. And here we are. And then people started understanding that we have to do our share, and they do their share. I'm not going to wait for Virginia to do her share. I don't know what God has reserved for her. But at least we're saying, if you get there, that's the goal. It doesn't mean you're going to be a leader anywhere. It means whatever you are, you be a positive person. Same for us, right, Rejane?
I would also say that as oppressing as this moment is, there's also a turn of times.
Yeah.
Because it took some successive shootings for us as society to be questioning what kind of guns, and if at all we need guns.
Mm-hmm.
We arm teachers, but we ban the books. So now it has driven a collective conversation around what it is that we're doing as society, because the children that were born, I forgot the name, the preschool children, they are now 30, 35. So they're already pushing this conversation into, wait a minute, something's wrong with our society when we have one shooting after the other, or when we're limiting and imposing on people the choice of their will.
Yeah.
So as much as oppressing as it is this moment, I'm seeing the turn of time.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing things being changed. And change, unfortunately, doesn't happen from day to night. Even with us, it's slowly. Imagine the whole world changing the vibration. But it does take each one of us saying, no, that's where I draw the line. And having the conversation with our children, too. It's not only about the physical violence, the verbal violence, too. That starts the whole thing when we treat one another, when we don't acknowledge our differences as contributing to the society we are running that where we are. So I still see the as oppressive is, I still see the better of it. Because I feel that the tides are turning and the tables are turning and the things are changing.
Right. Let's keep doing our share. There's hope, always. Right, John? You want to say something?
I don't know whether, I was thinking to end on a really positive note. This morning after I took the dogs out to walk, I walk a neighbor's dog, and I take that dog back first, and as I'm taking the dog back to go into the house, I see this car on the side of the road in a very odd position. So I take the dog in, he was sleeping, the owner was sleeping, so I just left him alone and walk out. And then I see this gentleman walk across the yard, and I've never seen him before. He's walking across the grass, and I said hello, he said hello, and I said, JD doesn't like, that's the name of the owner, JD doesn't like anybody walking on his grass, and he made this horrible statement about me. I come to find out he's the son, he's his first son from his first marriage. He's been married like 3 times. And there's real animosity between the father and this man. This man's got children. And I didn't realize he was living in the area because JD had talked to him, talked to me about him. And I knew that he wasn't good. And I said, try to make the long story short. I said, you're here. I said, we're all children of God. Would you like to come inside and talk to your father? And it dawned on me now that's why he was there. Because he dropped his daughter off to something for O'Connell High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, come on, I'll take you inside. So I took him inside, and he didn't even recognize me. JD didn't recognize his son, but his son identified himself. And I told him that, so basically I left him, and they talked. And I'm hoping.
That's how you make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it was
That's
amazing to me.
Wow.
Because when you look at the presence of God, you talk about God being everywhere. Why was I there at the time he was there?
There you go.
Let him in the house.
You did the most good you could.
So
That's
that was the positive note.
Yes. Thank you. That's exactly here. Do the most good you can. Without worrying about pleasing everyone. John were worried about, oh, what are they going to think? What are they going to feel? So that's the good that can be done. It should be done. Do it. Conviction. Thank you. Now we're going to ask Paloma to help us with this Cass's prayer so we can wrap up in the most positive note, hope. All right? Let us close our eyes, dear friends. Being mindful of this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. Allowing this connection with God to deepen. Letting the topic of today sink in. Touch deeply our hearts. Feeling our spirits expand as it is eternal. Feeling that life continues. And blessing our connections that have discarnated. Today with certainty we can say, you continue living. And we can tell ourselves, we will continue living. We are eternal spirits. We are connected to God. We are co-creators of life. Let us now visualize doctors and nurses that are at this very moment next to us. They are ready to apply the necessary treatment that we need. We just need it. We just need to resign that they are here. They already know what we need. We will just need to let it happen. We visualize their loving hands being applied on top of our heads. Visualizing so much light. Waterfalls of golden light. Enveloping ourselves. Dispersing old emotions, feelings. At the same time that it replenishes our perispirit with positive vibrations. we are receiving exactly what we need at this very moment. Let us also visualize our homes as it also receives the shower of energy, helping harmonize, rebalance, and treat the spirits that are connected with us and that are also at home with us. And let us now, dear friends, express our gratitude to God. Dear Mother, Father God, we are blessed for having this very reincarnation in which our eyes are open to the true life. We thank you, dear God, for bringing Spiritism into our lives, allowing ourselves to see with clarity what we are truly about. We pray for everyone in our planet that are yet to find the way to you. We pray that they receive intuition, that there's more to life than what the physical eyes can see. We pray that your presence is felt. We pray that the spirits in both realms that are feeling lost are able to see the light and fill themselves with hope and faith in the future. And we know, dear God, that you are in charge of everything, that we are all taken care of. No matter the hard times that we go through, there's always good in all our experiences. And under your protection and with your permission always, we ask to close these moments of learning of today. And so be it. Dear friends, thank you so much. Friends on the internet, thank you so much. And we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.